Hello and welcome to our second video on CMP 221, where we are looking at JavaScript for web development. On this second video we are going to be looking at structured programming construct. My name is Dama Michael Johanna and I'm your instructor for this video. Here are the items we are going to be looking. We have blocks, we have control structure, inside of which we have sequential execution, iteration and looping, and we finally have subroutine. So let's go quickly into structured programming construct. We are dealing with three words. They are structured, which has to do with arrangement, programming, which is the act of writing computer programs, and construct, like a way of doing things. So structured programming is a programming way. I wouldn't say paradigm, that looks big. So it's a programming way or a model aimed at improving the clarity, the quality, and the development time of a computer program by making extensive use of structured control flow construct, of selections and repetition, block structures, and subroutines. So a lot of these words might not be familiar, but we are going to be explaining them in detail in subsequent sections. The main thing I need you to pick from here is that structured programming is just a way of you writing your program to improve clarity, to also increase quality, and then the development time as well, by making use of control flows and selections and repetitions, among other things. Now we also have blocks, which happens to be the first thing on our list when it comes to structured programming. So what are blocks in programming terms? Blocks are just sections of a program or sections of your code that you group together to perform a particular function. So it can be one line, two line, or multiple lines of code that are grouped together and are targeted toward addressing a particular problem. Now, in a software solutions, you are definitely going to be having different sections for different solutions. So those separate sections you have that aim at addressing separate situations or problems within your solution are referred to as blocks, right? So you put them together and then they are meant to address a particular situation. And then we also have control structure. And when we talk about control, of course, it means to oversee something. And we'll talk about structure, it has to do with things put in place. And in the context of programming, control structures refer to the flow of execution of program through defined patterns that may depend on a lot of things, not just variable analysis. So control structure is simply a way of your program running from start to finishing. All that your program need to do, all the processes it needs to run, all the routines it needs to follow from start to finishing. And of course, there are a lot of things that are going to be happening from the starting point of the program to the finishing. So that is it for our control structure. And the next big thing we have is sequential execution. When we talk about sequential, it means something that is well arranged, and execution, of course, has to do with our program running. So sequential execution refers to as a top to bottom execution of a program sequentially as it appears. So it's more like your program being executed or being run exactly how you write the code, one line at a time from top to bottom. This is not always the case with all softwares that we are building, but in most cases we would definitely come across sequential execution of code. And then looking at sequential execution, the next thing we have is branching and selection. Now in branching, it is a process of analyzing and selecting the block of code to jump to and execute. Let me give you an example of something that looks like branching. If you have class, let's say by 2 p.m., of course, you are expected to be in school. But if you don't have class, of course, you would be at home. Or another example is, if it is weekend, you don't go to class. But if it is not weekend, you go to class. So you have two things that can happen based on the outcome of the day of the week. If it is weekend, you are at home. If it's weekdays, you are in school. So the act of your program selecting which path to follow or deciding to branch to a different path from what it's supposed to follow initially based on the outcome of a condition is what we are going to be looking at in branching and selection. And just note that this explanation is more of a theoretical explanation. The practical section is going to come up subsequently still in the video series. Then we have iteration or looping. Now when we talk about looping, another word I would use here is repetition, which is the same thing as iteration, to do something over and over again. And part of the programming construct that we are going to be looking at is looping. Let's say you want to count from 1 to 1000. Are you going to write 1000 lines of console.log just to display 1 to 1000? Of course, you're not going to do that. Instead, you're going to repeat the process of counting from 1 all the way to 1000. So that repetition, right, that continuous execution is what we refer to as iteration or looping. Alright, so looping allows a block of code to be executed repeatedly without duplicating the block of code till a condition set was achieved, right? So it's more like having your repetition taking place until a particular condition is met, then the repetition is going to stop. For example, if we have a repetition that is supposed to happen from 1 to 1000, of course, once our counting gets to 1000, we expect the repetition to stop. If it doesn't stop, it means there is a problem somewhere. Then we have subroutines. So before now, we've looked at blocks, which we said are like structured code that are grouped together and aim at addressing a particular situation or a particular issue within your coding. So subroutines are named block, so you can see block is still appearing here. So when you group together some lines of code, that is when you have a block that has a name. It is no longer just a block. Instead, it is now going to be referred to as subroutines. So subroutines are named block of instructions that perform specific action and can be called severally from other parts of the program. And other named subroutines may be known are routines, subprogram, functions, method, or procedure. So in different programming languages, you would hear people say functions or method or procedures or subprograms, but in JavaScript, of course, it is subroutine. So you can use any of these words interchangeably. And that's it for video 2 on programming construct. I would see you on the next one. Feel free to reach out to me if you need software development training at Dama Software Solution. The address is there, my phone number is here, and my email address as well.